As the holiday season approaches, prioritizing food safety is a great way to ensure a worry-free and enjoyable celebration. Today on City Chat, we're joined by Robert Acquista, food protection specialist from Columbus Public Health, who will be sharing important food safety tips. Thank you, Robert, for coming on to City Chat today.
It's my pleasure.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career and what makes you so knowledgeable and passionate about what you do?
Well, I've been doing this for over 30 years. And most of that time I have been in the food safety program, and I have taken all kinds of classes and courses, and it's a passion of mine. I'm very passionate about what I do in the job, and I've learned a lot of different things. I've gone to different conferences across the country, but exposed to all sorts of training and food safety training.
What are some of the key principles of food safety, and why are they important in preventing foodborne illnesses?
Well, some of the most important things is obviously to cook your foods to the proper temperatures. Poultry, you want to make sure you're getting to 165 degrees. When you have hot foods, also you want to keep them warm. So you want to keep hot foods above 135, 140 while serving or while it's sitting out for guests. And then you also want to make sure you keep your cold foods cold at 41 degrees and below.
What's the reason why we want to keep it at that temperature?
So bacteria growth is going to grow the fastest between like 70 degrees and 135 degrees. So that's why with the hot foods, we want to be 135 to 140 and keeping it hot. And then cold foods, keep in refrigerator as long as possible. Try not to put them out too soon.
Okay. When it comes to storing food and cooking it, how should food be stored, cooked, and thawed safely to prevent contamination?
So I know a lot of people out there probably leave their turkey out to thaw on the counter. Honestly, any food that you're thawing, once you take it from the freezer, you should put it in the refrigerator. With a big turkey, it's going to take 3, 4, 5 days to thaw. So make sure you put it out there maybe Saturday or Sunday to do a proper thawing. Make sure you sort your food also. You always want your raw products on the bottom of the refrigerator and your cooked products on the top of the refrigerator.
I've heard that a lot of people, it's popular to wash your turkey before you cook it. Why do you recommend against that?
So a lot of studies have been out here lately that washing a turkey really doesn't do as much benefit as the damage that it can create. A lot of times when people wash their turkey, they're splashing water on the faucets, on the counters, on different utensils, and you're contaminating all those different products that may not be cleaned properly before you handle, say, a ready-to-eat product like a piece of fruit. So when you're working with your raw products, your turkey or whatever kind of raw items you're working with, get those items cooked, then clean up. I know a lot of people like to multitask.
Yeah.
If you have a big enough kitchen where you can separate areas of where you're cooking compared to where you have like ready-to-eat foods, then I would do that. But get your raw items cooked first, get them all ready, get them going, and then clean up, then start processing your other foods.
But when we're using a knife to cut up different fruits, let's say, is that cross-contamination? So like if I'm cutting strawberries and then I get another piece of fruit like oranges and cut that, am I cross-contaminating these fruits?
I mean, really the only issue there, it's not like really a food safety issue as much.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we have had confirmed foodborne illnesses where people have used a knife that they've used a raw product and then used it on vegetables.
Okay.
That's where you got to be really concerned. But honestly, cutting a strawberry and then cutting an orange, it's not really that much of a big deal as far as a contamination issue, as far as a safety issue.
What about steak? You are cutting a steak and then you cut a piece of chicken, but you are cooking them.
So chicken is going to be cooked to a different temperature than steak. So it depends on which order you work in. The chicken is going to be cooked to 165 degrees. Where the steak, depending on how you cook it and depending on what kind of steak it is, it's going to be cooked to a lesser temperature than that. So you got to be careful. I have always recommended actually several things. When you're using a knife or utensil for raw items, once the item is cooked, switch utensils and use clean utensils for the cooked item.
Okay.
And then use different utensils for your chicken, your poultry, and other meats.
Okay. In your experience, what holiday foods have you seen spoil the quickest?
Oh, it depends on so many different factors. I mean, it depends if they were contaminated by something. It depends if you cooked it properly. Not cooking a food properly is the worst thing that you can do, or contaminating a product. As we mentioned, the last thing you want to do is handle something with a raw utensil and then handle your fruits, your vegetables. That is the surest way of contaminating that product and then getting someone sick.
When it comes to stuffing the turkey, how do you recommend doing that safely?
I mean, you can cook the stuffing inside the turkey. One thing I do recommend, though, is that you have a thermometer at home. I recommend everyone to have a thermometer that they could actually take internal temperatures of food, and I actually recommend, too, that people have a thermometer in the refrigerator. I know my family probably will laugh at all that, but what I would do is if the stuffing is inside the turkey, I would make sure I took a temperature of the stuffing inside the turkey. And you want to make sure it gets to 165 degrees because it's inside the turkey, inside the stuffing, and it's going to get contaminated by the turkey juices and the gravy and stuff inside the turkey.
How can personal hygiene and handling practices affect food safety?
Well, one of my pet peeves we talked about briefly is people use their hands a lot to pick up food and handle food. You have viruses and bacteria on your hands, and you can cross-contaminate the food. You want to be really, really careful about using your hands, washing your hands. If you're sick, you shouldn't be preparing the Thanksgiving meal. Stay away from the kitchen. So very, very important. Advice there as far as just making sure that you're not touching product, you don't cross-contaminate it with your own body, your own hands.
Yeah, thank you. What should we know about food expiration dates and the risk of raw foods, and then the steps to take if we suspect that food is contaminated?
A lot of times best by use dates are recommendations by the manufacturers. A lot of times the manufacturers use those dates because they want the product to be the best product it can be. What you need to do is you need to use your other senses also. So if you see a product that's out of date, look at it, smell it, kind of look at the color, the texture of it. But a lot of times those are recommended dates, that they want it for the quality of the food.
Is there anything else that you would that you want to say to our viewers about food safety?
Yeah, I think the bottom line is make sure you refrigerate things as long as you can. Make sure you cook foods to the proper temperatures. And then, when the feast has started or it's over and everyone's gotten their helpings, put stuff away. Mm-hmm. Don't let it sit out. Don't let Uncle John use his hands to go get a piece of turkey. Make sure you have utensils that you could use utensils. But, and just use common sense in the kitchen. Wash hands often. Keep animals out of the kitchen if you can. The key is cook things initially to the proper temperature, serve the food, then put it away as soon as possible. Okay. Then once you reheat, that's a different story.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Robert, so much for coming on. This was very enlightening.
Thank you for having me, and everybody have a great holiday.